Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking over. I mean, so if you guys keep looking, I'll keep making. And today, we have a few things to talk about. Obviously, we're gonna go through this entire past episode, so I'm gonna go from start to finish talking about the entire episode. We also have to talk about some nonsense on Twitter that's going on, but we have a lot to cover. But before we start, 72% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. If that's right, get right into the video. So as I said before, we're gonna go through this whole episode. But the first thing I want to do is talk about this. So I saw some of you in my comments and on my Instagram saying that you should go check out Shan's Twitter, which immediately I heard the word Twitter and I was like, ugh, because I don't use Twitter. I really don't like Twitter from what I hear about it and from what I see on other platforms. I'm just not a big Twitter guy. But I had seen that you guys were all telling me to go look at Shan's Twitter, and I stumbled upon this. Yeah, and so apparently Shan's just a fangirl, and that's what that is. No, I'm just kidding. And I think yeah, I mean it's cool. It's cool. It's a Survivor Watch My channel. I don't know. I mean, Shan's obviously not a big fan, as she should not be, because what we are not the same person. We do not have the same beliefs. But that's okay. It's okay. Maybe me and Shan can do like a boxing match for charity where I just absolutely, But that's aside the point. But yeah, I mean, it was cool for you guys to bring this to my attention. Apparently, me and Shan have some serious beef that I did not know about. So nice to know about that. Yeah, we'll get into the episode and stop talking about things like I voted out in 8th place. Okay, so this episode opens up with Liana scolding Deshawn and Danny, basically telling them that they just ruined their game. Similar to how in 40, when Sarah scolds Tony, saying, "Our game's over. You just made a move on my ally, and now we're both screwed." Or when Michelle scolded Nick for voting out Jeremy. I feel like it's similar there. So I think that Liana in her heart felt like not only was her game over now that Shan was gone, but now all of their games were over, including Danny and Deshawn. So it seems like Liana is very, very not happy right now, which is obviously something that I can understand because her game is over. Deshawn and Danny's not so much, but for her to be frustrated on her own is 100% justified because she is going home. I had predicted this in my power rankings last week. We all knew that Liana was going home relatively soon after Shan goes because, puppy dog goes when the owner goes. That's how it works. And at this point, we actually see Xander's perspective here, where we basically see Xander saying, do I have a majority? Because now it's Xander, Ricard, Erica, and Heather who are in a group who all just voted together to get out Shan and then also Liana. And this kind of leaves Deshawn and Danny on the outs with Liana as well. So it's really these four being Ricard, Xander, Heather, and Erica versus the 3 camp out members being Liana, Danny, and Deshawn. So it seems like the new majority is now these non-camp out members, which is very interesting considering that a lot of them, in fact, I think all of them have been on the bottom except for Ricard. And even then, Ricard had just voted out his major ally. So you would think that he would also be on the bottom. But apparently, the people who are in the camp out are now on the bottom of the tribe, specifically Liana, but also Danny and Deshawn as well. At this point, and again, we are still in the like night after tribal, so we are still in this like time after they get back from tribal, but before they go to sleep. We are still in this time period. I believe we got a full like 7 minutes of just post tribal like arguing and or conversations and or confessionals. So at this point, we get Deshawn talking very confrontationally to Ricard, basically saying like, well, you're like the kingpin now, so congrats, bro. And Deshawn just really seems to be making himself a bigger and bigger target, by pouting about how Shan had said that, Deshawn was a snake and that Ricard was $1 million winner, which is like he's justified in his feelings of being like why in the world would you congratulate Ricard for blindsiding you but then get mad at Deshawn for a plan that he didn't even make. I understand where he's coming from, but the way he's coming at Ricard is also not good for his game and probably not justified just at all. Like on a moral level, I feel like Ricard made a good move. He obviously executed it great as far as socially because Shan wants to vote for him after Ricard blindsided her. So it seems like that's a pretty good move. And so to go attack someone who had just made such a good move and is probably now in a place of power seems to me like not the way to go from Deshaun's point of view. I think it only hurts him. And he even says later on in the episode that he put his foot in his mouth here and that he should have just kept quiet, and that was better for his game overall. Then in this next morning before the challenge, and really I think this is like their off day, so this is the day where, as the day after tribal before the immunity challenge, they apparently did not have a reward here. We get Danny and what I feel like is a third place finisher edit, and I'll explain why. Okay. So here in this scene, we see Danny essentially get like an edit where he's telling us about how today, like that day on the island, was his 25th anniversary since his dad had gotten into a car accident and died, and that he had always blamed his dad because like most dads and they're like Superman, right? So to see your dad like not be able to survive like this accident, he kind of blamed his dad for the situation. And to me, this feels like a person who is not winning the game. One, because we didn't get a lot of content of him like earlier in the game, so I feel like he doesn't have like that pure winner's edit. And then on top of that, this is like the perfect ending to for me. This is like the perfect ending to like a story for Danny. Like this could be his arc. Is like Danny was like always holding back this, and then it finally comes out, and he finally forgives his dad. And that's essentially how the scene goes. Is he realizes that it's not his dad's fault, and that he should try and get to know more about how his dad was like. And I feel like this definitely proves that Danny is going to not win the game. And maybe he's like our third place finisher because of the fact that he didn't go in this episode after getting that content. I feel like he's probably going to get like farther. I don't see him going like next episode, or they would have just saved that for next episode in his boot episode. So I could see Danny being a losing finalist, probably the third place, but I guess he could be a second place if it's like him, Xander, and like Heather. I think Danny could snag some camp out votes, but I think in the end, Xander would probably end up getting the majority of the votes there. From here, we get the challenge, and we also get the do or die twist. So at the challenge, Jeff explains to the castaways this new do or die twist, which basically means that the first person who is out of the challenge is going to play a game of chance at tribal, and if they lose the game of chance, then they will go home and there is no vote at tribal. And if they win the game of twist, there is a vote, and that person is immune. But you obviously can't like bank on winning this and like getting immunity because of the fact that you're playing a game of chance, which we'll learn later is definitely stacked up against whoever goes out first in this challenge and is forced to play the do or die game. So in this challenge, we see within 5 seconds, Deshaun drops out first and is our person who is going to be playing this challenge. And so we get a Deshaun do or die challenge coming up. We also see, I believe it was Danny who won immunity here, so it also kind of completes his arc. I remember after he won this challenge, he like ended up going to the ground and crying like about his father and things like that. So it seems to me like that even further proves that his arc is kind of like being set up to be like, okay, like this was his emotional growth. Now like his arc is over. As we come back from the challenge, Deshaun is very complacent with the twist. He's not like angry at production or anything. He's like, okay, well, either I'm gonna go out with a bang or go out with a bang. So it's like whatever. And he's actually like positive about it, saying, well, if I get immune, then it's me and you are immune, meaning that no one from like me or and again, me and you means Danny and Deshaun. So he's basically saying that me and you are now safe if I can get safe for this vote at tribal. And so he's more positive than you would think, or at least more positive than most people would be after this kind of terrible incident happened to him. Erica considers flipping flipping with the three camp out members in Liana, Deshaun, and Danny. So Erica is considering flipping with Liana, Deshaun, and Danny to then vote out Ricard as the big threat in the game. And so I don't know. I mean, for Erica, that's definitely the best move. It's probably the best move for everybody except maybe Deshaun and Danny. Maybe No. Well, I mean, obviously they're voting for Ricard. I guess the only person who's really conflicted here is Xander. Xander does not want to vote for Ricard, because he feels like if Ricard goes, then he is he's back to being the biggest threat like left or right now in the game. Because now, because of the fact that Shan made the comment at Tribal, and that Shan had just like overall like that Ricard had a very good few rounds. Ricard's now built himself up as a threat with the immunities and the strategy, and so Ricard being built up as a threat is, at least Xander thinks, is good for his game because it takes off focus from him, and so Xander does like 100% does not want to flip on Ricard. He wants to keep Ricard in the game because he sees Ricard as a meat shield for him. So at Tribal, the first thing we get, and I talked about this a lot in the live show last night. So if you want to hear my opinion on the woke 15-minute absolute spiel that that happens here, I talked about it last night in the live show, so go check that out. We talked about it so much that we got demonetized because YouTube is just the best website of all time. And so I mean we got pretty in depth with it. You'll also be able to hear Skylanders and the Bitter Jurors opinion on it as well on the live show last night. We also answered your guys' questions, so go check that out. I really don't want to waste a lot of time just going on about it on this video, being that I talked about it for a literal hour last night. So let's just move on here. Although I will mention that Tribal was 30 minutes long, and I was expecting, okay, that like makes sense because Jeff had said that this Tribal was going to be that this episode was going to be like amazing. So maybe it's just like a really lively Tribal. So maybe we get Deshawn winning the challenge in like epic fashion, and then there's a vote, and then we get Liana playing her shot in the dark, and then we get like one idol play, and then there's a tie vote, and that's why this Tribal is so long. And or like maybe it's a live Tribal or something. But no, the reason why this Tribal was 30 minutes was because of the 15-minute woke talk, which you can hear my opinion on in the last episode. I'm not going to go on it for 10 full minute rant here. So go check that out. And so it's basically at this point that Deshawn is now given his game that he has to do for chance basically, and this involves the Monty Hall problem. There it is, and I'll try to explain it the best I can. So in Deshawn's twist, it's the classic 3 things. Pick the right door is really what it's always been referred to on like shows like let's make a deal, or the Price is Right. But he has 3 things. 1 has fire, 2 have skulls. He then picked one. Jeff then flipped over one of the other 2 that was skulls, and that left Deshawn with 1 skull and one fire left, and one of those was his thing that he had picked. You should always swap, because Jeff offered him to now swap between either his choice or the other one that is left. Now you would think, well, why? It's a 50-50 shot. Either way, you might as well just go with your current choice. But actually, math says otherwise. So think about it this way, right? Jeff will always have the opportunity to flip over one of these skulls to allow you to switch over, right? And you have a 1 in 3 shot of switching over and switching from a fire to a skull, because you have a 1 in 3 shot of picking a fire originally. And basically the reason why you always flip is because you have a higher chance of picking the wrong one than picking the right one. And so therefore, if someone offers you the chance to switch between picking what is most likely the wrong one and then going to what is like highly likely to be the right one, then you should flip. That's all in theory. Obviously, Survivor probably thought about this and said, let's just go with the opposite and make his case the one that he is sticking with. But I mean, honestly, in the end, I probably would have stuck with my gut and stayed with it, just because if I had swapped and then the one that I had was the right one, I would have so much regret and just sleepless nights that I feel like I wouldn't be able to live my life anymore. So I would probably do the same thing despite the math, although the math says that he probably should have done it the other way. And so we basically get this. He wins the game. So he picks the fire. He stays with what he has and wins the game. And so we do have a vote. Xander uses his extra vote to put an extra vote on Liana. And so we get 5 votes on Liana and only 3 camp out votes on Ricard. And from here, we get a Liana vote off, and that's it. That's the entire episode. No crazy exit from Liana, just her saying goodbye, guys. It was great to play with you. Shan's facial expressions have basically dominated this entire second half of the episode. Yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, tomorrow's video is going to be about Liana, so I'll just put it that way. We have a very funny title and thumbnail for tomorrow's video, so stay on the lookout for that. It's very, very funny. My personal favorite title of all time, actually. Thumbnail of all time. I think it's awesome. Shout out to Skylander for making my thumbnails. Shout out to you guys for watching this stuff, liking and subscribing to it, doing all that good stuff. We're close to 1.5K, so let's make it happen. We're so close. I mean, might as well just get there. And again, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. If that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.